Welcome back to the channel and to another Chelsea match report as the first team stall away to Leeds after a big week. Two big team performances against Barcelona and Arsenal last week, ending November on a high note, but we cannot carry that momentum over into December. December, historically, a very, very difficult month for Chelsea. I believe out of the last 106 points available to us in December, only 52 of them have been picked up. So Chelsea getting the month off to a bit of a tricky start and problems at the back rearing their head again. Chelsea, more often than not, the architects of their own downfall this season, and that was the case again last night. But we will get straight into it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for all of the latest first team, academy and loan updates and more. But we will go straight into it. And it was a tricky one to take. Very, very difficult on the face of it because it was always going to be a difficult game. Leeds away. I think when you look at Chelsea's form, inconsistency is one of the biggest problems. More often than not, we can go toe-to-toe with the biggest teams, but it's the teams that we should be beating on paper, the teams that we should not necessarily be steamrollering, but on paper, we should be beating Leeds fairly comfortably. But it was always going to be a bit of a difficult game. Maresca rung the changes, 5 changes, which I mean, a lot of Chelsea fans have been getting iffy with the starting lineups recently, and with hindsight, we've had nothing to complain about because more often than not, we've managed to get results in those games. The manager has made the correct tactical tweaks. I think he got it wrong yesterday, more at the back than anything else. I feel like in the last few weeks, we've actually been seeing some really solid defensive performances from Chelsea. I think certain individuals didn't cover themselves in glory. I think Robert Sanchez, while it was a fantastic header from Biol or whatever his name is, I think he should have done better. I think potentially should have done better for the third goal as well. Nothing he could have done for Ayo Tanaka's goal, but I think Robert Sanchez could have done better for the third goal as well, and then immediately started to shout and scream and complain. I think while I've been appreciative of him recently, I think this is why I've always been hesitant to fully embrace Robert Sanchez. I feel like he let himself down yesterday, and the reaction after that third goal went in, I really wasn't best pleased with Sanchez because I'm not sure who he thinks he is. He's put a couple of months' good performances down, and he's got a little bit of credit under his belt, fair enough. But I'm not forgetting the 12 mistakes that cost us goals last season and mistakes at the start of this season. They haven't fully been ironed out his game. And while he can be rightfully, I was going to say angry, delirious at Tosin Adarabioyo for yesterday, some of the decision-making horrendous, I think Robert Sanchez needs to just keep himself grounded. Don't let this praise from the fans and these good performances let you get too big for your boots, because we saw last night he's still not good enough in terms of long-term number one between the sticks for Chelsea. Robert Sanchez is not that guy. So that was one of my early gripes. And I think in front of him, the back four that I've been enjoying recently has been Cucurella, Reece James, Chalobah and Wesley Fofana. And while I understand that Reece James, we can't expect him to play 2-3 games a week and he's going to have to sit the odd one out, I think he should have started last night. I know he's being rested and I know it's a risk, but I just feel like a team of Leeds, physicality, intensity, aggression, I feel like Reece James should have been a no-brainer on that right-sided defence. If not Reece James, start Malo Gusto. Having to bring Malo Gusto on in central midfield at half-time to change the game, he's not a midfielder. And when he progresses with the ball, when he moves up into the final third, his decision-making is very, very poor. And he's not the sort of player that you want to be bringing on to impact a game. Maybe to tweak the formation, to change the system, I can understand. But I feel like Malo Gusto and or Reece James should have been starting yesterday at right back. I feel like pushing Chalobah out of that centre-back, you're asking for trouble. Playing a centre-back pair in Badiashile and Tosin that haven't been playing together recently, you're asking for trouble. Particularly when neither of them have been in A, good form, or B, fit and consistent. I think you look at that centre-back position, and this has been, an area of scrutiny all season. Chalobah's last 5 games, we have won 4, drawn 1, and conceded 1 goal against Arsenal. Wes Fofana, last 5 games, we have won 4, drawn 1, conceded 2 goals against Ajax and Arsenal. Tosin Adarabioyo's last 5 games, we've won 1, drawn 2, lost 2, and conceded 10 goals in those 5 games. If I'm not mistaken, he was responsible for giving a penalty away in the last couple of weeks. He's dropped a couple of stinkers. Last night was I think, the worst performance that he's dropped in recent months. And these are players that are getting a lot of flack, a lot of criticism. Tosin has been under the microscope, and I think Chalobah unfairly so, and Wes Fofana to an extent unfairly so, because I think he's got, the gimme of coming back from injury, of not having a consistent run of games under his belt. Chalobah, I think he's been fairly solid. I think he's shown professionalism. I think while he hasn't been our best centre-back, I think he's been far from our worst. And I think he's unfairly got a lot of criticism in recent months. Tosin, however, I think we highlighted it a couple of months ago when Chelsea were really under the cosh, in mid-November. And we kind of said that Tosin, he's a great squad player. He's a great part of this team in terms of what he brings to the squad off the pitch. But on the pitch, he's not that guy. He's not good enough. He's Fulham level. We got him on a free transfer from Fulham. This is never going to be a starting centre-back, to elevate the quality of your team. And it does kind of... It gets me a little bit that we're using Tosin repeatedly over Josh Achimpong, who I think is a fantastic player. Again, in midweek, Enzo Maresca is talking about how he sees Josh as a 6. The only reason Josh isn't getting minutes is because everyone else is playing great. You can't pull the wool over our eyes. They're not all playing great, and Tosin hasn't been playing well for a while now. And while, yes, he brings a little bit of calm and leadership, and in the Conference League last season, his passing range was fantastic. You could see the benefits that he brought to the team, both on and off the pitch. Those benefits, particularly on the pitch, we're seeing less and less of. And the mistakes he makes at the back, the lack of confidence, I think, that he inspires. It's similar to the feeling that we all got last year of whenever Robert Sanchez got on the ball, the defence looked shaky. We don't trust him. We don't want to give him the ball. We don't want to receive the ball from him. I feel like that has now shifted to Tosin Adarabioyo. And I think that kind of just brief look at form over those 3 players says a hell of a lot. With Chalobah and Fofana to have played 5, lost none, won 4, drawn 1, conceded 1 and 2 goals. And then when Tosin's playing, 10 goals conceded in 5 games. To go from 0.2 to 2 goals a game, that's crazy. And I think we've highlighted where the big problem is at centre-back. It is Tosin Adarabioyo. I don't think Badiashile covered himself in glory yesterday. But again, similar to Wes Fofana, out for extended periods of time. Hasn't really been able to lay down a consistent run of games. I do give him a little bit of leeway. Whereas Tosin Adarabioyo, as the most senior player in this squad, the most experienced player in this squad, I don't agree with him getting continual minutes over Josh Achimpong and even players like Jarell Hatto, who, yes, may have been a little bit iffy on a couple of occasions this season, but I think all in all, I'd say he's been more consistent defensively than Tosin. So let me know what you think about that centre-back pairing. Do you think I'm being a little bit too harsh on Tosin? Or do you think he is the one that needs to be essentially omitted from this squad? Moving up the pitch, and to be completely honest, there is not very much to talk about. So I'm going to keep it fairly short and not particularly sweet. I thought going forward, we were lacklustre. I thought Pedro Neto brought something, to the team in the second half, a little bit of a boot up the arse, essentially. He came on and showed them, this is what you should have been doing for 45 minutes. I think Jamie Gittins, again, just seems far too confidence-driven. I feel like when he gets the better of his man, when he feels happy and confident, he does well. And, great assist again yesterday, created some great opportunities coming in off the left, but he just needs to do it again and again and again. And far too often for me, he was being slightly negative yesterday. However, I will say that from that assist alone and from the chances he created as well, I think that he was our best attacking player yesterday. Esteval clearly struggled, very, very physical. I think Goodmanson, his opposite number, did very, very well. We saw him, a silly little moment where he tripped up Goodmanson trying to get retribution. He's now on 3 bookings. He's got to escape. Yeah, I think he's got 5 more games. He can't get 2 more yellow cards, otherwise he's going to pick up a ban. For him, I think it was more... I don't really have too many complaints, because I think it was, as Enzo Maresca said in his post-match conference, welcome to the Premier League, welcome to Leeds. That they got the job on him very right. I think Goodmanson had a great game at left-back. Esteval obviously struggled with the physicality. Delap, a player that shouldn't have struggled with the physicality, didn't offer very much. I thought his hold-up play, while there were a couple of good little link-ups between him and João Pedro, on the whole, not enough runs in terms of both quality and quantity. I think he wasn't making enough runs, wasn't making good enough runs, always going too wide, not really a focal point. I know Leeds are a big physical team. Delap should be putting himself about a bit more and winning more balls, winning more duels than he did. And João Pedro really frustrated me yesterday. As someone who didn't really understand, I saw the quality of player when we bought him, but didn't really understand the move, bearing in mind that we've been talking about going out for an out-and-out number 9. We don't want one of these hybrid players that can play in the 10. João Pedro is that. He can play a 9, he is a striker, but as we've seen at Chelsea, he plays better as that second striker, a little bit deeper, a little bit more creative weight on his shoulders. Yesterday, every single time he tried, someone sent him the ball, it was all about trying to bring it down in the box. He just hasn't got that instinctive, that Haaland quality of see it, finish it, just hit it and score. And I think that really hurts us in front of goal. I think trying to pass it into the back of the net like Arsenal is not our style. It's never been our style. And I feel like the amount of times yesterday, the one that really did me was the superb ball over from Enzo Fernandez. He was onside. He got flagged offside, João Pedro, but he was onside. Super ball. That's where a striker either touches it and hits it, or just hits it first time, has the instinct and the ability to put that away. And João Pedro just doesn't have that instinct. And while it's not normally, a major problem for me, because I do think, in an ideal situational formation, he's not playing as that number 9. Every single time the ball went into him yesterday, he was trying to bring it down rather than shoot, rather than header it. He was trying to bring it down. He had his legs in all sorts of ridiculous positions because he was trying to, he was trying to do too much, essentially. I think that was the problem for Chelsea yesterday, particularly down the middle, trying to do too much. Cole Palmer, when he came on, I think that was the wrong move. I think, again, easy to say in hindsight, and if he had scored that opportunity when he came on and turned the game to 2-2, we'd all be saying Enzo Maresca masterclass, welcome back Cole Palmer, fantastic. But the combination of a crap appearance, a crap substitute appearance, because let's be honest, I know he's just getting back, I know he's not fully fit, I know he's slightly injured, it was a crap performance. He missed 4 or 5 passes, got cut out, didn't offer anything, was coming far too deep and then not finding anybody, and then obviously missed the big chance, which he should have scored because Garnacho put it on a plate for him and he should have scored that. The combination, I think, of a crap substitute appearance and missing that chance, the impact it will have on his confidence, I think we're about to see a very, very difficult month for Cole Palmer. I think this month, things do not bode well for Chelsea this month. And I know that I'm being quite negative, and, look, I will make the concession that, again, after Sunday, we're closing the gap on Arsenal. Everyone's extremely excited about being back in the title race, potentially throwing our hat in the ring. Look, we're still very much in and amongst it because the league is extremely tight. But then you look at that, a win could take us... If Villa lose, a win takes us back into 3rd. If we lose and the right teams below us win at the weekend, we could be 10th by Sunday evening. So the league is still incredibly tight. I'm not, throwing my toys out the pram over one defeat because I'm going to be honest, it wasn't the worst performance we've seen from Chelsea this season. Man United, Lincoln City, 2 performances that spring to mind immediately that were worse. I will say, however, the problems at the back need to be identified. Well, I feel like I've identified them in this video. The problems at the back need to be sorted. We need a solution ASAP. I think, for better or for worse, we're just going to have to take the risk and continually play Reece James. I think, obviously, the Caicedo red card gives us a little bit of a slightly different problem with, do we now play Reece James in centre midfield to fill in for Caicedo, Gusto at right back? I think that's probably the right move. Gives us a little bit more defensive stability, an extra player to throw in there if we need it. But yeah, I don't want to see Tosin starting again. Definitely not in a Premier League game. Look, maybe give him that Cardiff game with Badiashile to get his confidence back. But at this rate, in January, bring back Aaron Anselminho, eh? Which reminds me, this week we're going to be dropping our next episode of Loan Watch, our November episode. It's going to be focused, obviously, as I've mentioned, or taking a closer look, at the Chelsea players on loan across the globe for the 2025-26 campaign. And this week we're going to be focusing specifically on Aaron Anselminho. Some fantastic performances as he's come back now, back into the fold for Dortmund from injury, laying some great performances down in the Champions League and the Bundesliga. So we're going to be talking about him and all of the other Chelsea loanees in that episode. Episode 1 of The Blueprint is now out, focusing on Ibrahim Rabaj, the Moroccan Messi, who he is, how he plays, and what his pathway into the Chelsea first team might look like. So make sure, particularly if you're new to the channel, make sure to go and check those videos out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you're not already, for all the latest and greatest Chelsea content from the first team, the academy, loan players. We cover it all on this channel. If it's got anything to do with Chelsea, you're going to find it on the Two Blues podcast. So make sure to subscribe if you're not already, and leave a comment below. What did you think of the Leeds game? Was Tosin at fault? Can we blame Robert Sanchez? Am I being too harsh on these guys? Let me know what you think, and we will be back very, very soon with some more great Chelsea content. Until then, up the Chels.